Hi, my name is Jessica Friedman. I am the founder of Mama Shakti Prenatal. Mama Shakti means Mama Power, and I love to help you find your strongest pregnancy for an easier birth and a smoother postpartum recovery. Today's topic is push prep for birth, and how do we prepare our body to really understand how to push during birth and to prevent things like birthing injuries or birthing traumas like tearing of the perineal tissues or pelvic organ prolapse or other issues that can sometimes arise if we have too much core pressure and we have a really difficult long labor and we're having a hard time pushing. So we're going to talk a little bit about a few of the techniques that I really like to employ with my clients and to help prevent birthing injuries or traumas and to help prevent tearing or the need for an episiotomy. Now, sometimes these things happen and that is okay, but we like to try and prepare for them to avoid them if we can for the best personal birth outcome for you. So we're going to talk about perineal massage, and with perineal massage, you just need a lubricant of your choice or a oil such as avocado oil or coconut oil, and your birth partner is going to do some perineal massaging of the tissue that is in between your vagina and your rectum. So I have a full tutorial on perineal massage for birth prep over on my Instagram page, and it is in the Reels section with that's my dog. It is in the Reels section under birth prep. So you'll see a nice long tutorial video on perineal massage, but you get that oil and you'll have your partner spend about 5 minutes doing perineal massage with a stroke upward and out at about 45 degrees, a stroke just sideways from your perineum out toward your cheek, and then downward in 45 degrees. And so we'll just take the base of the thumb and do a few gentle pressure strokes in those 3 directions on both sides. And I love doing this. I love suggesting that my clients do this. I did this with both of my births. It really helped it prevented perineal tearing for me, and it helps a lot of my clients as well. So now, when do we start this? It depends on how those tissues are. So if you start doing this around 34 weeks, let's say, of pregnancy, and the tissues seem to be a little tough, not quite so pliable when your partner is massaging them, you want to start at 34 weeks and do it once or twice a week. And then as you get closer to that 40-week due date, do it a few times a week. Now, if you get in there and you start massaging at 34 weeks and you find the tissues are really pliable, then you might be better off waiting until a little closer to birth so you can start the practice at 36 weeks. This is one of those instances where you will need to listen to your intuition. If you find when your partner starts massaging you that there is any sort of pain or serious discomfort, I highly suggest seeking out a pelvic floor physical or occupational therapist to help you figure out what's going on with the state of your pelvic floor, because those tissues might need some work from a professional to help prepare you for birth. So that is what we can do prior to our birthing day to help prepare our perineal tissues. What we can also do is find lots of really great mobility in our hips and our pelvic girdle with movements on our birth ball. And I'm gonna grab that, like pelvic tilts, pelvic circling, pelvic rocking. So finding concentrated circles in both directions, then finding pelvic tilts where you focus the tilting from about your belly button down. So this is not a cat-cow where we're fully rounding and then arching our back, but it's just a really concentrated movement in the lower lumbar region of our back. So we're tucking tailbone and then rolling it back out behind us. Very nice. Okay. So I've talked a lot this week about pelvic awareness over on my Instagram page, And one of the best things you can do for pelvic awareness is the pelvic clock exercise. This is a 9-inch round Pilates ball. It's not fully inflated because you want it to have a little give. You can take that right under your pelvic floor, knees open, and we work on breathing, inhaling, and really softening our pelvic tissues over the ball. And then when we exhale, we lift and squeeze and hold the 4 sections of our pelvic floor, which are the urogenital triangle, the left side under the ischial tuberosity, the back side around our anus, so like we're trying to hold in a fart, and then the other side under the other ischial tuberosity. So we have I section them into those like 4 quadrants, kind of like if you're looking at the face of a clock. And we work on finding isolation of each of those areas and then finding a full contraction and then a release. And then we try and do the pelvic floor as a whole, full tutorial over on Instagram in my Reels section under, I believe the pelvic clock is under breath work. Yes, it is. And I've also highlighted that video in my stories highlights under pelvic floor, so you can find it over there as well. Full 8-minute tutorial. So doing pelvic clock, very, very helpful for pelvic floor awareness, because when my clients get to birth, they're like, well, how do I know how to push? And you know, a lot of times I'm instructed, push like you're pooping. But I often find for myself, and then when I have dialogue with my clients and students, that they think pushing like you're pooping means contracting your pelvic floor. And when we contract the pelvic floor, the fibers tighten, the holes close off, and that's going to make it very challenging for baby to descend into birthing canal. So we want to be able to find out how to really relax and open and spread our pelvic floor to allow for baby's passage. And then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about breathing. So when we're having in the actual pushing phase of birth, we want to really focus on finding a breath that maximizes the efforts of our contractions. I have several breaths over in my course, Your Empowered Pregnancy and Birth. It's available on Udemy. It is also saved in my story highlights, I believe under pregnancy exercise and under prenatal yoga, so you can find it over there. It's also on my webpage, so if you click the link to my website that is on my bio page of my Instagram, it will have my pregnancy course listed on my homepage, so you can find it there. I have several different types of breath exercises for each phase of birth, but my favorite exercise or breath exercise to do is finding any sort of vocalization and exhalation together when you're actually pushing. So when it comes time to push baby, you take a big organized inhale, you open your mouth really wide and relax your facial muscles and let out some sort of vocalizing sound, like a moan, like the sound of om, like the sound of ah. So it looks kind of like this. Ah. And that's much different than the purple pushing that is often coached by L&D staff in hospitals and in other settings. And I find that it really helps to prevent perineal tearing because there's less pressure being put down on your pelvic floor. When you're holding your breath, you have a lot of downward pressure on the pelvic floor, creates just a lot of potential for tearing. Lastly, we're going to talk about birthing positions. So lots of choices for birthing positions. Upright birthing postures are going to be one of the postures that is going to help reduce tearing in the pelvic floor. It's going to help baby descend with a little more ease because we have gravity on our side. There's so many benefits, and I have an entire blog post dedicated to upright birthing postures on the blog on my website, so you can visit my website and read the blog all about upright birth. A couple of my favorites are a tabletop, all fours supported with the ball. So you rest your chest, head, neck, and arms on the ball, and you have a couple choices for your knees. You can let them be real wide, and your bottom just kind of sticks up, and you can rock back and forth. You can let your knees be a little bit closer together, and you can just gently rock forward and backward. So this is going to be something that you will want to practice in the later stages of your pregnancy. So, you know, in that last 5-6 weeks, start to practice birthing postures that help you feel comfortable with knowing what your body is going to, how your body is going to be configured on your birthing day. So you can do things like squats too, and you can use your birthing bed, you can use the ball, the toilet throne is what we like to call it, and you can squat down and allow baby to come out via squat, via tabletop, standing and leaning over your bed. Lots of choices, lots of options. So in my course, you have an introduction to birth prep, and then I also do virtual birth prep sessions. So I meet with clients and you have a couple different choices of packages, so I can send you information on that. And if you want to get information on that, you can email me at info@mamashaktiprenatalyoga.com or submit a contact form on our website so we can get you scheduled for birth prep sessions. I find that this is really fantastic. Your birth partner can come, you guys can work together, and because you're going to probably rely pretty heavily on your birth partner come your big day. So with them there, helping you, guiding you through, it is just another really awesome form of support for you. So if you have any questions, reach out to me via my contact form or the email that I shared with you. If you don't know how to spell it, it is on my website, so you can find it over there. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this push prep little introductory session, and we'll be seeing you later.